talking about that in more detail in the upcoming panel that's called Taking the Financial Wave. And for that, I'd like to ask Felipe Cornago Diufaín, Kimon Argyriadis, Christine de Jouëtte, David Carrascosa, and Thomas Marty to join me on stage. You need a microphone. Good morning. Please have a seat if you want to. Yeah, or you can stand as you like. You want to stand? Right, good morning, everybody. France's first floating offshore wind pilot farm is being constructed in the Mediterranean Sea, the 24-megawatt project Provence Grand Large. And you, Christine Jouëtte, you're from EDF Renewables, you're the PGL's project director. Could you give us, in a nutshell, a quick update of where your development is at right now?
Okay, I stand up.
Okay, of course.
Good morning, everybody. So, just some words as introduction. Provence Grand Large is a pilot project of 3 floating turbines located in the Mediterranean Sea, close to the city of Marseille. So the 3 Siemens Gamesa 8-megawatt turbine are installed on an inclined tension-led platform and designed by SBM Offshore, and 60 kV dynamic and static cables are manufactured by Prysmian Group. So 2023 was an exceptional year for us because we have done many works, and we have finalized the construction of the floaters in Eiffage Yard in Fos-sur-Mer Harbor. We have finalized all the integration of the wind turbine on the floater in the harbor of Fos. And we have made the offshore installation of the floating wind turbine and also the offshore installation of the dynamic and the export static cable. So, and up to beginning of 2024. Where we are now, we are preparing the jointing between the offshore and the onshore cables. And we will make the electrical test campaign before the commissioning of the turbine, foreseen in the fall of 2024. And we will be able to invite you at to inaugurate officially the wind farm.
All right, so the main topic of this panel is the financial wave. Tell us, to what extent have your project costs gone up over the construction development period?
So the project started in 2011, but with a lot of consent activities, discussion with local authorities, environmental studies, and many technical investigation on technology for floating, for the turbine and the floaters. But the real start of the project was in 2016 with the tender of ADEME, you know, the Ecological Transition Agency of the state, the French state. And at that moment, the budget of the project was 200 million euro, comprising all the different tasks, comprising the early work, comprising the detailed engineering phase, the construction phase, the installation, the commissioning, and the grid connection up to the onshore substation at Port Saint-Louis-du-Rhône. And during the phase of the construction of the floater, the COVID-19 crisis happened. That was awful for all of us, I think. And you can imagine how difficult it was to follow up the construction of the floater. And our subcontractor, and so us, has suffered a lot from delays. And delays means additional cost. And so as for other sectors, this COVID-19 outbreak, the war in Ukraine, and the significant inflation shock has caused many increases of cost of raw material, cost of key components of the floating turbine. So now we can say that we are going to finish our project, and the project cost, of course, has increased and is around 300 million euro.
What have been the other hurdles on the way to get to where you are right now? What were the specific challenges of this project?
So the main difficulties we had to cope with during the project, many, of course, because we are a pilot project, but our aim was to demonstrate the technical feasibility of the technology on which we are working. So first of all, we have taken a large part of the time at the beginning of the project to implement advanced numerical tool in order to be able to simulate numerically the behavior of the wind turbine. And we have validated, we have calibrated all these tools due to a real scale basin test. And after that, you know, the other innovation is the dynamic cable with the 66 kV technology that comes from the turbine itself. And so we have checked the global behavior in fatigue of this cable due to real scale. And after that, we have certified the complete system, all the floating wind turbine, in accordance to the wind energy standard. And I think that's mandatory to convince banks, because we are the first floating project to be financed by commercial bank. After, you can imagine, many legal and technical due diligence, but we have convinced bank to support financially the project. And another difficulty we had to cope with was all the organization inside the harbor of Grand Port Maritime de Marseille. It was the first time that such activities was organized inside the harbor, because you know the difference with the bottom fixed project is that large activities are made inside the harbor, and so we have worked in a close agreement with the Grand Port Maritime de Marseille to organize the place where we are going to make the integration of the turbine on the floater, the place where we are going to store the wind turbine to make the pre-commissioning before going offshore.
Very briefly, what would you do differently if you had to do another project now? What are the lessons learned?
So, if I can summarize some lessons learned from technical point of view, because we have spent 10 years of engineering studies to investigate different technologies. And after that, we have a big feedback on the knowledge of the environments. So many works have been done, because we have characterized what we call the status zero of the site to know the biodiversity before the construction of the pilot wind farm. And now we are making a lot of campaign by boat, by plane, to characterize the birds and all the marine mammals. And if to answer the second part of the question, what we will do differently for the deployment of large-scale commercial wind farm, for sure, is the work we have done in the harbor. The harbor must be ready for the deployment of such activities, and so our strong recommendation is to have dedicated area, one dedicated area to make the integration of the turbine on the floater in a sheltered area, far from the waves coming from the sea and the waves coming from the forward speed of the traffic, of the maritime traffic. And another area for the pre-commissioning, the storage area for the floater or the floating turbine before going offshore. So we need to reinforce the part for the storage of the component. We have to prepare the quay with the adapted bollard to have a fix to support the tension in the mooring system. And just one more to finish. I think that we need to be competitive, now we see that there are many tenders that are in preparation for the deployment of large-scale commercial wind farm. So in order to be competitive, we must optimize each step of the project. And I can see that, I can say that the phase of the construction inside the harbor is one of the most important ones in the project. So we need to be competitive in this part.
Thank you very much, Christine Jouëtte, for your insight. Thomas Marty. Hello. Thank you. You are business development. I'm going to say that again. You're business development manager, Southern Europe at US-based technology developer Principal Power. And you're involved in another floating pilot project of France, the 30-megawatt development éolienne flottante du Golfe de Lion. In a nutshell, where's that at?
Yes. It's working. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, so in a nutshell, like you said, Éolienne flottante du Golfe du Lion is a 30-megawatt project that is being developed by Ocean Winds. The main contractor for this project is Eiffage, and Principal Power is a technology provider for the floating foundation and mooring and cable for this project. So where we are right now, so the mooring lines have been pre-laid. All the floater components have been delivered to Fos-sur-Mer, and Eiffage is proceeding to final assembly of the foundations. And the rest will follow in the coming months. If you want more details about this plan, I recommend you ask Ocean Winds directly, because this is obviously their project, and we're providing the technology for that.
Right, we will do so later on. As a technology provider, you're working in different markets in France, Portugal, the UK, and you're seeing, like everybody else, how the market is about to move to the commercial stage. How difficult is it, do you think, to find the right price for that, for the upcoming project?
Yes, indeed, the price is a very significant challenge for all these projects. And we all have to do our part of the work. So at Principal Power, we take our responsibility, and we've been improving our technology through various stages, from the first prototype we installed in 2011 in Portugal, to the pilot farms of Windfloat Atlantic and Kincardine, and now EFGL, that we're very proud to see coming to life in France. And through this experience of design, construction, installation, and operation of this prototype, we've been able to significantly improve the performance, the fabricability, and the weight of our floating foundation to decrease the price. And so we're now at the fourth generation of the Windfloat foundation. EFGL is already the third generation. And we've put a significant effort into improving the fabricability. We've worked with yards all around the world to see what are their capabilities, what are their preferences, and how we can adapt our design to improve the fabricability and the weight and the cost of our foundation. So last year, following this exercise, we've launched the Windfloat F, the flat panel version of our platform that is aimed at meeting the preferences, the specificities of some yards that are more familiar with flat panel fabrication, and that is what we do to improve the costs of the projects.
You mentioned the project Kincardine. There were some hurdles lately. Tell us about that.
You mean the large corrective? Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Well, in 2022, we've performed a large corrective operation at Kincardine. So this is following a serial defect that occurred on the wind turbine that is installed on this project. So there has been similar operation performed on other units installed on bottom fixed foundations. And so for this, we've supported Cobra in the disconnection and tow to shore of the platform. So from its site location offshore Aberdeen in Scotland to the port of Rotterdam, where we had performed the turbine integration during the construction phase. And I mean, this is...
you can see it up here.
Yes, absolutely. Just outside the port of Rotterdam.
Yeah, and so
yes, so
they were
this is
back, right?
this is a topic that was highly debated in the industry and described for many years as one of the key advantages of floating wind. If there is a large corrective required on a turbine, then the turbine can be disconnected and towed to shore, which would make the lifting operation easier. And what we were able to demonstrate there, well, it's feasible. Okay, everybody's been talking about it, but it had never been done before, so great. Okay, we've done it. It's feasible, but still, it's not. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and for one turbine, of course, we can do it. But if we want to transpose that to the commercial scale of the projects we're looking ahead of us, well, I mean, we want to avoid that as much as possible. So we're very happy to support the technology developers who are working on offshore solutions for lifting of turbine components. And yes, and we hope this technology will be soon available for all the commercial scale projects that we are planning to develop all together.
Right, so it might be maybe a better idea to do that operation at sea, the
yes.
service. Okay, thank you. Very quickly, bankability is at the heart of coming projects, current projects. How do you see that topic evolving for floating?
Yes, that's a very important topic. I mean, okay, we can have the best technology. If nobody's financing it, it's useless. No, we're not going to be able to make all these projects happen. And so we perform a lot of preliminary studies, pre-FEED concept studies for all the developers in all the various locations in the world. And very often these preliminary studies are competitive. So the aim is to compare various technologies and see which one is the most suitable for a specific site, for a specific project, and to strengthen the business case for this project, come up with cost estimate and so on. And so this is a very useful exercise. And so we've participated recently in such a study where, in preparation for the project FID, then the developer was trying to simulate the financing the project, and actually the lenders and the lenders' technical advisors rejected to finance the project with a technology that was not demonstrated at sea. So what happened for this project in Korea is that the developer, who was willing to continue the competition during the FEED phase, has decided to select only principal power technology because this was the only technology that they had selected that was bankable and that their lenders were willing to finance for this project.
Right.
So we can make all the engineering work that we do, and select the best, the technology that we think is the best. But in the end, it is the banks selecting the technologies. So yeah, we need bankable technologies to make a bankable project.
So experience counts. Thank you very much, Thomas Marty. With us is also Felipe Cornago Diufaín. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So
I hope this works.
Yeah, is it working? Yeah. You are Offshore Wind Commercial Director at BayWa. We heard earlier, obviously, from your company. That's also developing the Panavel project. You have secured 1 gigawatt of floating capacity in the Scotland tender, and you have 9 gigawatt of greenfield pipeline in floating in Italy. That helps you, obviously, to achieve some economies of scale down there, right?
Yes, difficult to explain, but simply, obviously, during construction is not the case because all these projects are in more or less early development, but definitely team-wise, you can already see the economies of scale. When you start the first project, these come one after the other. Obviously, you have a team, but the incremental number of people as the pipeline grows is marginal. Of course, it's not exponential, and therefore you can apply not only that, but also lessons learned throughout the pipeline and makes everything very, very efficient. So in that regard, yes, we're already seeing the economies of scale, and in the future, I'm pretty sure with the delivery of all these projects, the relation with the supply chain, etc., will pay off, definitely.
When do you think will these 9 gigawatts of floating offshore wind energy be up and running in Italy? A guess?
In the long run, I'm 100% sure. Obviously, it's not going to come in one shot, so it will come one after the other. We're preparing to do so. Not only us, a lot of players in this promising and new market are operating, and we are 100% sure it will come. At what pace, we'll see, but obviously, this is a very, very big pipeline of projects, not only our company, but other projects, and we have to come with a certain pace.
So what's in the way? What are the main bottlenecks of the market for you? What are the main bottlenecks to get this up and running?
Okay, there are. So most of it, I would say that for floating wind is common with bottom fixed. So probably the main one is grid. So grid capacity is an issue. It will remain an issue. So you take as an example a Scott wind tender. It was delivered tens of gigawatts, and definitely the grid connection is not there yet. So that will limit the delivery of all this pipeline. As this happened in this market, it will happen in other markets. Probably this is one of the main constraints. Other one is people, of course. Talent is very difficult to find, especially in new markets. So in a consolidated market like Germany, UK, France, you have already a lot of incredibly good professionals, and it's getting easier and easier to build up on that. On new markets, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, especially in certain areas, like, for example, in the technical area. So that would be probably another bottleneck. And again, it's different in each of the markets, but in new markets that are not centralized, you have kind of uncertainty on regulation. You have to find your way, and the path is a little bit less predictable, and therefore the pace to deliver these projects are not 100% sure as in other markets, like, for example, in France and in the UK. So that's...
Right. Your company has lots of experience also in other markets of other renewable energies. To what extent can you transfer this experience to the floating offshore wind energy market?
Yeah, I think much more than you would expect, even myself. So we are lucky in our company that by the time we introduce ourselves into the different markets we are operating today, BayWa already have a long track record in the market, and that gives you a tremendous advantage. You already know the market, you know the stakeholders, you know what is important, what is not. There is a lot of fields that are common, a lot of professionals that can be 100% directly dedicated to that. Not everything, because obviously you need specialties in certain areas, but that is covered with our central team, and our central team, the combination with the central team and the local teams is what make us fast, quick, and in 4 years we have built the pipeline that we have today. So it's absolutely, as I said, much more than what you would believe. And in the example of Penabel, the last project that we were awarded, along with Elicio, maybe 80% of the people that was working in the tender was coming from our local offices in Nantes and in Paris. So you can see there how important it is, no? So the transference of knowledge from the rest of the renewable energy to the floating offshore wind and to the offshore wind in general.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Felipe, Cornago, Diufaín.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, with us is also David Carrascosa, your Chief Operations Officer at Spain-based Saitec. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. your company provides floating structures for offshore wind farms. How does your technology work? I think, did you bring a picture? No?
We've got a video.
Oh, you've got a video. Well,
But well,
we'll let our technical team try to find it.
Yeah. Good. So yeah, we've been now more than 12 years working in floating offshore wind, basically taking our background in civil engineering and putting that into the development of this structure. Yeah. And the result is a twin hull concrete floater with an innovative approach towards also the sea keeping using a turret system. And now our flagship project is the Demo South project. It's a 2 megawatt project off the coast of the Biscay region in Spain that's been operating for almost a year now, so since September 2023.
Right, and talking about the main bottlenecks in the sector or bringing down the costs, you think there's especially one cost reduction lever, right? Which one is it?
Yeah, we've been speaking a lot about local content, and we've spoken a lot during the last years about how concrete floaters are local content enablers. Well, that's true, but we need to look at local content probably at a regional level, not at a very project-by-project basis. So we see a great opportunity for construction hubs in Europe, meaning that we would use a single port to then provide floaters to several projects. Why? Because that's the only way we would be able to repay investments in the port, in the preparation of the site for several projects, and then not doing, let's say, the whole repayment of those investments into a single project, which won't make it competitive. So our view is looking into construction hubs, and that's why our strategy is now focusing on that in the port of A Coruña in Spain, the northwest coast of A Coruña, close to Ferrol, where let's say some of the big floating offshore wind projects have been done, but now looking into the outer port of A Coruña as a first construction hub to then provide floaters not only for Spain, also for Portugal, France, Celtic Sea, and then making more and more competitive the production of floaters.
Have you already any confirmed orders for your A Coruña platform?
Yeah, so the trigger, the first two triggers for that construction hub are the pre-commercial projects that we have under development in Spain. That's the Geroa project in the north region, also the Biscay coast, close to where our 2 megawatt demonstration project is. And the other project is the MedFloat project, and that's close to the area of Barcelona, Girona, in the Med. So two different projects in terms of conditions, methods and conditions, and so on. The size of those projects is similar, is right below 50 megawatt. Okay, so then we have already a portfolio of almost 100 megawatt for the project, and then obviously we are under negotiation with the big projects the ones that are under development and also the ones that have been awarded recently. So yeah.
Sorry. Apart from setting up such construction hubs, what would you say are other ways to bring down costs in the floating offshore wind sector?
Yeah, now that we are also more and more involved in the project development phase, I couldn't agree more with Principal Power and let's say the bankability, right? So if you look a bit into the share of the cost, into the share of the prices and the LCOE, there is a massive difference depending on the discount rate you applied, and obviously the discount rate you apply and also the interest rate for the debt and the amount of debt you can introduce into the project depends massively on how bankable your technology is. That means mature technology. Maturing technology means projects, and that's why we are not staying with our 2 megawatt demonstrator. That's why we are stepping up to a pre-commercial wind farm, or to two pre-commercial wind farms in Spain, then to gain these maturity, size, and then appetite for the big investors. But it's also fair to say that we have already banks looking into our pre-commercial wind farms willing to get into up to 60, 65% and up to even 70% of debt into those projects. So already very interesting.
Well, one of the markets obviously you're looking at is Spain, where you come from. Just in a nutshell, what's planned there for floating?
Yeah, so there's obviously this interesting highlight of the roadmap that was announced a couple of years ago of 3 gigawatts to be installed by 2030 in Spain, which, well, as there's not a, I mean, there's as we speak, there is 2 megawatts, which is our demonstrator. That's the only thing installed in Spain. So I don't think we will reach the 3 gigawatts installed. But well, there's thing being done. There was the royal decree, so the offshore wind framework that was put to public consultation. So the public consultation process has been completed. But now we are still awaiting for the final version of this royal decree. That's the first step, this kind of framework. Then after that, we need to see the ministerial order for the auction in Spain to be issued for public consultation again. Then the public consultation, the ministerial order approved and issued, and then we should see the first auction to happen. Well, what's been said in the, let's say, in the association and so on is that we expect first auctions to come early next year. We'll see. I mean, we know how challenging it is. We are in France, and I think we need to see, to look a bit out of the borders from Spain and understand and learn what does public consultation mean, what's the process. But well, it's expected, just final points on the auction, it is expected to have a similar auction structure like in France. So both the connection, the exclusivity of use and the CFD all in one, starting probably with Canary Islands with not more than 300 megawatt for the first action, and then moving into mainland Spain, most likely to Galicia, then Catalonia, and then finally Andalusia, so in the south.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we also have Kimon Argyriadis with us, your Director of Floating Wind Energy at Norwegian Certified ENV. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Hello.
Thank you for your patience.
Everything fine. I will try to be fast.
So certification is obviously key in giving security to investors and to bringing down costs. How has your company been gearing up to provide more certification for floating offshore wind energy?
Yeah, with the certification or classification of floating wind, we try to manage the risk, the technical risk of the development.
Can you hold it close to you?
Yeah. We try to manage the technical risk of the investment and of the project. We have started this journey almost 20 years ago, and since then we increased our certification and classification procedures steadily by investing in research and development with our partners together in joint industry projects, for example, which ended up publishing the first standard for floating wind, now the ST119 of DNV, which is now continuously updated, and it's going to be in hearing the next revision in a couple of months from now. So steadily improving the standards, and in addition doing research together with academia in public funded projects, but also in joint industry projects, like the one we are doing on floating substations, or the one on reliability of cables and moorings, with more than 30 partners from the industry, and others which are starting now, which has probably to do, which have, not probably, they have to do with the soil investigation for anchors and optimizing this approach. So we are steadily developing this, and in parallel we are investing in our capabilities, so in principle developing software, the bladed software for floating wind, it's steadily development our know-how and our personnel, so having now a dedicated section for floating wind, for example, in our unit.
Is there anything else you're doing to support the sector to help it develop?
Yeah, this is a steady exchange with the sector. We have to understand that today we are at an early phase of the development, so we have to have a holistic approach, starting at an early phase, through the concept phase, going to the FEED design, third-party assessment, going to a full project, and looking about the peculiarities. I have to say that it is very important, and we see it also from investors and from authorities, that instead, like the fixed offshore wind, which is typically a project certification, ends with commissioning. We see the need to go to the operational phase, to go to surveys during the operation of the wind farm. And this is what we are looking, and how we are extending our service specification for certification, which is since yesterday, in public hearing, and is going to be published, and the update is going to be published end of August. So this is where we are looking. And in that, we have to say that we have to consider all assets in a floating wind farm. It's not only a floater, it's not only a turbine. We have to understand the peculiarities of the turbine OEMs, we have to understand the peculiarities of the manufacturers of the floaters, but also to consider the interfaces and the cables, interactions, and so on.
You said that, you mentioned that the floating offshore wind energy sector is in an early development stage. You as a company obviously have lots of experience in other sectors. How transferable is that experience?
It is transferable, and we wouldn't be able to develop standards or certification services without having the knowledge from the oil and gas industry, for example, or from the fixed offshore wind. But to transfer this knowledge, not filtrated, not critical, to floating wind would be an error. This is not simply transferable. We are in a different environment, and we have to make the adaptations we need from the knowledge we have. For example, in the concrete floaters we have some concrete floaters under certification today, and we take the knowledge from oil and gas concrete structures to use that, but we have to for the certification, but we have to adapt. And we do this also using the experience from R&D and from the existing projects which are around, which play an important role. So it is absolutely important to get the feedback from the demonstrators we have today, and to improve standards and the requirements in certification, as it was told before, with transport, installation, wet storage, and so on.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your insight. Thank you, everybody, for taking part. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.